Welcome to the Profitable Painter Podcast. The mission of this podcast is simple: to help you navigate the financial and tax aspects of starting, running, and scaling a professional painting business. From the brushes and ladders to the spreadsheets and balance sheets, we've got you covered. But before we dive in, a quick word of caution. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date financial and tax information, nothing you hear on this podcast should be considered as financial advice specifically for you or your business. We're here to share general knowledge and experiences, not to replace the tailored advice you get from a professional financial advisor or tax consultant. We strongly recommend you seeking individualized advice before making any significant financial decisions. This is Daniel, the founder of Bookkeeping for Painters, and today I'm here with Nicole Rivera. Nicole considers herself a creative that stumbled into human resources, sales, and the entrepreneurial space over 15 years ago and never left. Her creativity has allowed her to approach traditional human resources with a different perspective, with a fierce passion for putting people first and creating fun and growth-oriented cultures that employees are obsessed with. As Director of People and Culture at Jill's office, she has helped her grow her team to over 100 employees, winning a Utah Top Employer Award in 2022 and 2023. She and her husband, Joey, launched Lavender Lush Cleaning in 2021 with the goal of hiring amazing people from day one to run daily operations. Today, Lavender Lush is run by amazing staff put in place so that Nicole and Joey can focus solely on growth. And today we're going to dive into the dangers of not delegating, which is a huge topic. I love this topic, and it's something that I've fell into the trap of not delegating effectively. So I'm super excited to get into things today. Welcome to the podcast, Nicole.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. I'm super excited, especially about talking about delegation. Because like you said, it's easy. It's an easy trap to fall into. But once you figure it out, it's super powerful.
Yes. And so it seems like you've worked this delegation muscle at least a couple times successfully. You've had a cleaning business. You have Jill's office, which is a virtual assistant business. So can you tell me about your journey of delegation? Like how does that come about?
Yeah. I think that if you're watching a podcast like this, you're learning and you can really fast track to success for delegation, unless you want to learn it the hard way like I did, which is failing miserable at delegation first and, having a business totally burned to the ground because you didn't know how to delegate. You thought you were the one that could do everything, or you were the best person to do all the jobs. You didn't trust anybody else, and you just tried to do everything yourself. So I actually owned a retail shop back in 2010, and I was very excited, very passionate, and I ran that for 6 years, pretty much by myself, 6 days a week. I did hire a couple people to help out. Nobody managed anything. They ran the register, and that was it. Because I really just believed that I was the face of the company. I had to do everything. No one could do anything as good as me. And I'm sure you've fallen in this trap before if you're listening or you're currently in this trap. So that was my first taste of how bad it can get when you don't delegate really anything. Moving on to Jill's office, when I first started here, I was sold on the idea of a company that provided a service that just supported business owners when they were overwhelmed or stressed out. And I was just closing down that retail location. And so I was in that pain point at the moment. And so that feeling of providing a service to other business owners that might have went through that same extreme pain really struck a chord for me. And so I was so excited to join Jill's office. While I was transitioning out of my business, I could only work here part-time, but I have a degree in HR. My background is in HR. And then, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, honestly. And so I felt like it was just the perfect fit. I moved into business development and sales shortly after that. And I worked directly with clients for a couple years. And then eventually moved into human resources here at Jill's because I knew there was a need for it to have a really good process for hiring. And it is a call center by nature. And so call centers have a reputation of not having good culture, having really high turnover. And so it was a goal of mine over maybe the last 4 years to have a really great culture where people just felt like they belonged. They had a path for growth. Hiring amazing people to take care of our clients and just creating this kind of environment that's kind of uncommon in call center environments. And so I did that for a while. And now I'm moving back into sales and marketing. And I'm really excited because there's already a strong team in place. And so I'm really I have to delegate. I can't do all of the things at the size that Jill's office is now. But when I got into Jill's office is when I started to realize our clients were coming to us and there was a recurring pattern of them not delegating things and really just convincing them that they needed to start to let go of things. They needed to focus on the things that they were the best at and the things they loved. Because they were doing a lot of little things like receptionist work for one as a business owner, bookkeeping. If you're not if you're not in love with bookkeeping, why are you doing your own bookkeeping? That's kind of my first hire anytime I started a business. I need a good company that I can trust to do my bookkeeping. And then kind of move from there to start building out a really strong staff, people that are better than you at all of these different things. So
Yeah. And I think we should linger a little bit on this idea that no one can do this better than I can do it. Because this is, I mean, I know I had the same mentality and sometimes I still do on certain things. I'm like, I catch myself thinking like, I have to do this thing because I'm like, and then I'm like, I shouldn't go with that. Someone else can definitely do this better than me.
Right.
So even now I still get stuck on this. But I was just talking to a painting business owner yesterday and I was going through his pricing. I was like, how do you do pricing? Because that's usually a big issue with profitability is that they're not pricing appropriately
Enough. Right.
And I was like, okay, so let's take a typical job that you're doing, how much you're doing a lot of it on the job site now. Because he was a small business owner still working on the job site. And I was like, okay, how much, if you were going to pay someone else to do the work on the job site, how much would you pay them per hour? So we can kind of calculate what the cost of the project would be. And he was like, I can't really hire anybody. No one can do this job like I can. So I can't really assign an hourly rate to it. And so he was basically saying that he was the best one, that he kind of almost saying that he was the best painter in the world, not quite saying that, but he couldn't hire anybody to replace him. But it's just one of those things you got to realize. The painting industry is like a multi-billion-dollar industry with, hundreds of thousands of, there's 100,000 painting businesses and there's got to be with, hundreds of thousands of employees. So there's definitely folks that can do painting just as good and probably better than you. So it's almost a little bit egotistical to think that you are the best and no one else can do it like you.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say that feeling is just 100% ego. Everyone that I've ever heard, and anytime I've ever thought that, it wasn't true. It was just ego. You want to feel valuable and it's human nature. And what really helps me now is every time I'm assigned a task, I try to remember how much is my time worth and what am I really good at? And in your business, you should be the best person at vision. You have to have good vision for your company, but you can't be painting all day if you're working on how to scale, how to grow your business, how to make connections with big partners. It takes a lot to think of the next level of your business. It takes a lot of work and a lot of mental power. Even if you're sitting still, brainstorming ways to expand your business, 10x your business, how can you do that if you're painting all day? And to think that nobody paints better than you, to think that in my house cleaning business, no one cleans better than me, that would be 100% ego. And I went into my business knowing I'm not the best house cleaner. So we hired people from day one. So I've never been the house cleaner. And it was kind of an experiment to see, like, can I actually do this with people from day one? And obviously I had to do more than I wanted in the beginning because I couldn't hire a manager right off the bat, but somebody that's actually working, cleaning, their hours are directly being paid by, the clean. So I didn't have to worry about admin hours in the beginning. So we're almost 3 years in and we have a GM now and a trainer, and it's just coming together really good. And the focus has just always been on, I can't do it all. I can only have vision. And I try to make sure I'm always brushing up on good leadership so I can be a good leader. Everybody else is making all the wheels turn. They're better at everything than me, managing, scheduling, cleaning, customer service. They're always better. And I make sure to tell them that all the time. And it makes your life so much easier once you can unlock that delegation skill.
Yeah. I love this idea of you being, as a business owner being in charge of vision. It reminds me of Ted Turner. He's a billionaire
Yeah.
that started CNN, and he sold to Time Warner for a ridiculous amount of money back in the early 2000s. But I read his autobiography, and he was saying like he was also a sailor. Like he liked to sail and competitively, but he also ran this business, which he took from only doing a couple million to multiple billions. And he said that he kind of saw himself as the captain of the ship in his business. Like he would put all the people in place to do all the different tasks, and he would just need to focus on the strategy, the navigation of leading the ship where it needs to go. And so he took the same mentality of being a sailor, the captain of a ship, and his business in the same way. Is like you're setting the direction, you're getting the people in place, and you're taking your ship or your business to the next level.
Yeah, someone's got to be pointing everyone in the right direction and getting everybody bought into the same vision. And if you're, the technician doing all the work all the time, it's pretty much impossible to do all those higher level things. And when we sell ourselves on the idea of being a business owner, I love the E-Myth. Have you read the E-Myth before?
Yes.
The E-Myth really struck a chord with me because there's a lady in there, then she's a baker, right? And she's sitting on the ground crying. And it just reminded me so much of my retail shop, everything that had gone wrong. And I was in such denial for 6 long years that I could have gotten out of it a lot faster. But I learned so many lessons. And so I don't regret any of it. But in order to see how your business is doing, you need people in the right spots so that you can kind of stand up and let go of everything and see from a bird's eye view what's happening. When you're in the thick of it, when you're cleaning, when you're painting, doing all of the things, it's so hard to step back and review all your processes. And, you just got to get over that first hump of like, well, I can't hire a painter. No one's better at painting than me. And once you get past that, it's just a little bit each time. It's like learning a new skill. You practice it and you just start to get better at delegating over time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And so you kind of touched on this, but in your painting business, as you grow, like a couple things that come off the bat that you should get rid of as quickly as possible, delegate as quickly as possible. One is, your phone. Whenever you have a business line that people are calling, a lot of times it's leads. And if you miss that call, you just flushed money down the toilet, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's always like the biggest delegation right off the bat. Because, especially if you're just starting out, you're doing estimates, you're producing the work or managing the work. And so you're not always available to pick up the phone as soon as possible. And so you're basically losing money as soon as you don't answer that phone, because the person isn't going to call you back. They're just going to go down the list on Google and call the next painting business and then they'll answer the phone and they'll book a estimate with them instead. Yeah. So, are there, I mean, is that like, what's your kind of take on delegation in the beginning?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think as a business owner, you need to have your phones handled 100%. Like you said, if you're paying for, especially if you're paying any ads, if you're doing local service ads or Google ads or Facebook ads, I mean, you're already paying money for leads. And if you let them drop through the cracks, you are just wasting this money. And if you're a startup or you're trying to scale, you cannot waste any of that money. So making sure that you have a solid process set up for all of your phones being answered, all of your messages coming in, that's a major requirement for me I needed to make sure every single lead was answered first. And I mean, in home services are notorious for having horrible customer service and not answering their phones. I mean, if you ask anybody, and I've done this multiple times, I've done research and just asking people, if you needed HVAC, you needed plumbing, you needed house cleaning, how many companies did you have to call till you actually got someone to answer? And how many of those conversations were pleasant with a really good customer service. If you can solve the answering the phone and good customer service, you're already so far ahead of the competition. So many times at Jill's office, we book jobs and the caller will say on the phone, well, you're the first person that even answered. Um, for my cleaning company, I have someone in office that answers the phones, and then it rolls into Jill's office if she can't get to it, because she will be talking to clients sometimes. And then we're closed nights and weekends. And so calls always roll into Jill's office. So literally our phones are answered 24/7. And I would highly recommend, if you have time to do research or you have admin that can do research, just to call like 50 to 100 of your competitors just to see and document what happens on those phone calls. Because we did this for our cleaning company. I think we had 3 or 4 actually answer, and none of them were friendly. None of them were nice. Some of them took a message and answered and said, I have to call you back, never called us back. And so we've already got that part figured out. Capture every single lead, provide excellent customer service, and you're already so far ahead of your competitors. Really easy to do with Jill's office because we've been doing it for so long. And even just at the base, like the super basic, just answering as your company, providing great customer service and capturing all of their information will take a huge chunk off of your plate.
Yeah. So you said you called 50 and only 3 answered the phone?
Yes. I'm trying to get her to 100. I just don't know if we have as many competitors directly around us. So we're kind of going outside of our service area to make more of those. It was really bad though. The house cleaning industry is very unique because there are a lot of solo cleaners that clean on the side. So we don't even really mess around with Facebook ads or anything. People are looking for someone just to come in for like $20 an hour. And we're close to 60 an hour, 65 sometimes, because we have a lot of expenses that we have to cover. So
yeah. That's crazy. And so painting business, they might be a little bit better than that, but probably not much better, if at all. Yeah. So you just answering the phone, it's going to set yourself apart, especially if you answer it in a professional way.
That's the thing too, is some of our clients, they are able to answer their phones, but they're really good at being painters or HVAC technicians or plumbers. They're not the best at customer service and receptionist work. So that's just, if that's not your job and you're not the best at it, give it away to somebody else.
Yeah. And so we identified that we're not the best at everything, finding the right people, get them in the right spots, setting the vision for the company. Do you have any thoughts on how to actually delegate, like what guidance, or how do we provide the guidance that the folks that we were working with, what guidance should we provide so that they know what we're trying to accomplish so that they can do their job and be effective?
Yes. So I'm very much a fan of hiring people who come with experience. However, you have to find people, and I guess the first step would be you would need to know your company's core values. You need to know them by heart, and you need to really believe in them. And then you need to go find people that have the same values and then also have the willingness to do hard work. Because from there, then you can build on skill. And so for some really high level positions that require like certifications or a different skill level, that's a little bit different. But in home services, a lot of times you can find people that are very passionate, that have those same values as your company. And because all those things align, they're so willing to learn whatever they need to learn to do a really good job. But I do think that there's a couple different things or lies that we tell ourselves as business owners. The first one we talked about, where you can't find anybody better than you. That's a complete lie. Like you said, all I need to do when I need to rise above that in my business is I need to think, okay, what are the companies that are doing so much better than me that I want to be like, doing millions of dollars, and I'm not there yet? They obviously have something figured out and they have people that are really good. So that's false. There are people that are better than me. The second one is that good people don't want to work. That is false. Most humans by nature want to do a good job. And what I always try to tell business owners and to myself, be accountable for everything that happens in your business. If your employees are doing a bad job, if they are not showing up for work or anything like that, look internally first at yourself and your processes. Do you even have policies to tell them where to go? Did you have a really good interview process and find people that actually aligned with your core values, or were you desperate and you just got the first person that you could hire? Look at yourself first before you point blame to others. And then the third thing is to think about your employees' experience, their journey, just like you think about your customers. When you are advertising or when people go to your website, they see your business and they have a very specific interaction and experience with you. And you want to carry a really good experience through your conversation, through the actual service, and then through the follow up. Well, your employees need the same thing. When you're posting jobs, applicants will go to your website. What does that look like? What does your communication look like when you scheduled the interview? What was the interview like? What was onboarding, training, any coaching or corrective actions, anything like that? All of that has to be really built intentionally in a way that's going to give people a really good experience. Because what I've learned over the years is you can have a great employee. I believe most people are great people. They want to do a good job. And if I didn't unlock that, maybe I put a barrier up somewhere. I've seen people that have just like done so well because you kind of unlocked everything for them and you gave them this great experience. So you helped them level up. On the other hand, I've seen people do horrible because maybe my communication wasn't there. Maybe I wasn't very clear. Maybe I didn't think about them enough and I just kind of, brushed them off or something. So I do try to just be very accountable for every single thing in my business. And it has helped me tremendously from pointing fingers at, just people suck. No one wants to work. Everybody's late. And it's a lot more growth minded than the scarcity mindset too.
Yeah. So before blaming, like look internally first and say,
Yeah.
okay, how could I have done better to impact the
Yeah.
result of this?
Well, I
And
go a step further and I'd say take accountability for it. Every single person that quits, it's 100% your responsibility.
mm,
So just always put it on yourself because it will always force you to be better in some way.
yeah, and because that's really the only person that you can control is yourself.
Exactly.
So yeah, that makes sense. I like it. Um, and you also mentioned making sure that one that folks are aligned with you on your core values,
Mhm.
which some you know that concept I feel before a long time ago, or maybe even not that long ago, I felt like core values were just like something that people gave lip service to
Yeah.
and didn't quite know what that even meant and how that would help me, in my business. Could you just unpack that a little bit uh, for folks?
Yeah. Yeah, I think well, one really good resource is EOS. If you've ever read EOS, there's a really good chunk of information on setting your core values. But what you're trying to establish is your core values is kind of like finding your target demographic or your client avatar. Core values helps you to find the perfect person that's the right fit as an employee for your company. And so it doesn't have to be extravagant, doesn't have to be something crazy. But for our cleaning company, like we need people who actually genuinely care to go into someone's private home and provide this level of service that affects our clients very emotionally. House cleaning is a very emotional service.
Hmm.
We deal with a lot of people going through mental health issues. We go through a lot of families dealing with deaths in the family. Like cleaning the house sounds like such a small thing, but when you think about how much you have to do on top of your real life stress, that cleaning can fester into something so much larger. So we tell our employees, we don't sell cleaning. It's the experience that comes from the house being done and being cleaned. So lots of crying. Clients cry a lot when we clean homes. And so we have to keep our employees remembering that. And so one of our core values is service with heart. If you read that job posting and you're like, oh, I'm a commercial cleaner, I just go in the middle of the night and I just, I mop things, I clean bathrooms. When you see service with heart, that's probably going to turn you off because you don't want to work for a company that talks about those kinds of things. You want someone who just wants good quality, make it fast, right?
Mhm.
So your core values, what they should do, for one, it has to be really who you are as a company. And it should really push away people who don't hold those same values. And it should really attract the people that have the same core values or something that is very complementary to that. We went through EOS planning a couple months ago and we didn't change too much with our core values, but we did um, kind of build a new one in that is to always be prepared and on time, because that was something we realized was so important for our clients. And some of our technicians, they didn't always have that in the forefront of their mind. And so it does sound, I think in the previous years, like you said, something kind of cheesy that didn't hold a lot of weight. But once you really know what your core values are, you know exactly why someone's not a good fit for your company. You can actually have a conversation with one of your technicians who's not upholding a core value because you've already talked about it. Everybody understands this is who we are as a company, and you're not upholding our core values. In fact, you're completely opposite. Those people will tend to weed themselves out really quickly also. And that's kind of what you want. You don't want someone that's on your staff that isn't a good fit just sticking around for so long. You want them to really understand that they're not a good fit so they can take themselves out quicker. And once you get better at it, then you end up avoiding that situation because now you're hiring proactively for your core values.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the core values are, how many do you have, by the way? How many core values?
Four.
Four. Okay. I made the mistake when we first were implementing core values. I had like 7, and I was like,
Yeah.
I
Too
can't
many.
even remember them all.
Yeah.
So we had to whittle it down to 3. But yeah, it helps you recruit, hire, reward slash
Mm-hmm.
punish, and then fire if it comes to that.
Yeah.
It just helps inform like everybody what the brand is, like what are we trying to do. So
Mm-hmm.
it does make things a lot easier. And
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Traction, which is the
Mm-hmm.
EOS Entrepreneurial Operating System by Gino Wickman. So I definitely recommend everyone listening to read that book if you are
Yeah.
struggling on getting a grip on your business. That is an excellent book. So
Yeah.
love it.
Get a Grip actually is an amazing book. If you struggle through Traction, because I kind of did, it was like my brain likes short like stories.
Mhm.
Traction isn't so much of a story. It's very detailed and if you're a very detail organized person and your brain works that way, Traction's great. My brain's not that great. So I kind of hopped around, had to go back. And then I came across Get a Grip, which is also, traction based, but it's more of a story.
Mhm.
And that resonated in my brain a ton better. And so, but yeah, EOS is amazing. Like highly recommend it. And here at Jill's, our core values we have 3 too. They're super easy. It's growth, goals, and gratitude. And so every time the hard part is you can sit down and come up with core values, but how do you implement that into your business, right? Every single day. And so some of the ideas are we talk about it in our job postings. We talk about it in our interviews. And an easy way to do that is just to let people know, in our job posting, we have our 3 core values, growth, goals, and gratitude. Which one of those speaks to you the most and why? And it just opens up another different type of conversation. We have Employee of the Month that our employees all get to nominate a coworker, but they have to list why that person has shown growth, goals, or gratitude in the last month in order to nominate them.
Mhm.
And then we have a committee that also helps with that. And so a little bit different than, maybe a painting business would be, but there's a lot of ideas on how you can, even as simple as putting them up on your wall. Employees do like to know what a business is all about. They like to know what the values are and what you stand by.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, you might attract people who don't care and they're just there just to get the job done, which will carry you only so far. If you're really looking to scale, you need people that feel ownership in your business too, and really believe in your vision. So
Mhm. Makes sense. Yeah, I love it. Cool. Well, how can folks get a hold of you or Jill's office if they want to delegate
Mhm.
their phone answering? What can they do to learn more?
Yeah, super easy. So you go to jillsoffice.com and you can sign up for one of our demos and you'll get some recordings so you can listen to what it sounds like for us to answer your phones. We do have a 14-day guarantee. That might change a little bit in the future just because we're bringing out all these new tools. But we always want to make sure people are signed up and we try to make it as simplified as possible to get you up and running, to send your phones to us, and we start answering your as your actual business in no time. And so sign up for the demo. One of our salespeople will be in touch with you and we'll do a discovery call just to make sure we understand your business and what your needs are first before we proceed.
Yeah, definitely highly recommend, because you guys also can work in software like Drip Jobs, Jobber,
Mm-hmm.
House Call Pro. A lot of
Yeah.
the folks that a lot of the painting businesses are using that type of software. So you guys are already familiar with it and know how to plug right in.
Yes, yep. We schedule within a couple of those systems. Um, we have to make them very simplified because obviously we have thousands of clients and they all want things done in a different way. So we do have guidelines if we log into your system to schedule. Otherwise, just giving us like an online booking link with your software, super simple. And the simpler that our clients can make it, the better, because then we have smoother conversations and phone calls with their customers.
Yeah. And so that would be like giving them your Acuity scheduling, or you can book me, or
Mhm.
Calendly, or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Definitely recommend, if you don't have your phone situation handled, jillsoffice.com. We'll include a link in the description. But I really appreciate your time today, Nicole. You've been super generous. Any last thoughts on delegation, or anything before I let you go?
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me. This has been really fun. I am really passionate about delegating. Like I said, I've been through the really bad parts of business and not delegating. And right now I'm all about delegation and empowering your team to do things. And when you can figure out how to grow the delegation skill within yourself, you will just enjoy your business 1,000 times more. I mean, it will just unlock so many doors for you. So you have to do it today.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah. Thank you.